Morning, everybody. Pleasure to have you all here, and the founders are here. Our honored guest, Mr. Bhatia, is here. Mr. Yunus is here. So may I request and invite General Shah Sahab to come on the stage, please. May I invite Mr. Bhatia to please come on the stage, please. May I invite Shahid Siddiqui Sahab to be on the stage, please. May I invite Professor Furqan Qamar to be on the stage, please. May I invite Yunus Sahab to be on the stage, please. May I invite Madam Kavita Sharma to be on the stage, please. Now that we have all assembled here, the stage is set. So may I request our founder, Mr. Shahid Siddiqui, to initiate the proceedings of today's event. Thank you, sir.
Good morning. I would like to thank everybody who has made it this morning in this heat on a Sunday. And especially I would like to thank Mr. Sabeer Bhatia, who has come all the way from San Francisco. He's been extremely busy, but he took out time for us, especially for our children and our teachers. I would like to thank General Zameer Uddin Shah Sahab, who has been the inspiration behind AEEDU and all the work that AEEDU has done. Professor Furqan Qamar Sahab, who has been one of the most prominent educationists in the country today. Madam Kavita, the principal of one of the most prominent institution in the country, the Hindu College. And Javed Yunus Sahab, who has been inspiring us in so many ways, in so many areas. So I'm extremely grateful to all of you. I'll now request General Zameer Uddin Shah Sahab to present a bouquet to Sabeer Bhatia Sahab and welcome him. I'll now request Mahmood Akhter Sahab to present a bouquet to Javed Yunus Sahab. Friends, we are on the cusp of a revolution. About a few decades back, there was a information revolution, IT revolution, which changed the world, which changed the way we interact with each other. And the person sitting here, Mr. Sabeer Bhatia, had a role to play in that earlier revolution 2-3 decades back. He played an important role because he was one of the, not the founder of free email, the Hotmail. He played a major role in allowing us to interact, communicate, exchange with each other. And again, today when we are on the cusp of another revolution, AI revolution, a revolution which is going to change the way we work, the way we think, the way we look at information, use knowledge. Again, he is involved in it. And he is not doing it. Earlier also, he did it with a purpose. Again, he is doing it with a purpose. The purpose is to take information. And as he says that now knowledge is no more relevant. What is relevant today is how we use information. Information is available to all of you. It's at the tip of your finger. You don't need I'm sorry to say with due respect to all our teachers, they don't need a teacher anymore. They can get information from Google, from elsewhere, but at the same time, this avalanche of knowledge and information is to be used properly with and to know what to take and what to reject. And all that is extremely important, especially teachers have a role to play there. And we are very fortunate today that we have such eminent educationists among us. Of course, General Zameer Uddin Shah Sahab, former Vice Chancellor of Aligarh Muslim University. But apart from that, he is working on the ground, opening schools, focusing on basic education, school education, not on higher institutions, but on basic education. And therefore, it's a great privilege for us to have him here. Kavita Sharma ji, of course, has been working in so many fronts, but especially on the front of education. Same with Furqan Qamar Sahab. So I'll now request General Zameer Uddin Shah Sahab to tell us a bit more about AEEDU and the work he has been doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Jai Hind. It is a greeting I always use because I used it in the army. Why it is important is that it has no references to religion, caste, creed or anything else, but only to the country. And it was the greeting adopted by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose for the Indian National Army. And I think it's a great greeting. I always thought that your knowledge and your power of thinking depended on education. It is important, but I think now what is more important is harnessing the power of technology. I'll just tell you what happened to me recently. I was requested by Force magazine to write an article on the profusion of Sainik schools. There are going to be 100 Sainik schools created. And having known what Sainik schools are, they are feeder institutions of my alma mater, the National Defense Academy, and they gave me 24 hours. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I wrote the article within 2 hours by harnessing technology. I had it on my fingertips. ChatGPT gave me whatever I needed. All I had to do was put it down, the raw material which it gave me, and write the article. So we have got to harness technology. Mr. Sabeer Bhatia taught us about it. I was in the Embassy of India, Riyadh, when we were told there's something called an email. This was in 1997. And they said no need for a postman or no need for a registered mail. You can convey what you want to the Ministry of External Affairs. And I couldn't believe it. But sure enough, now if you try and post a letter, the postman just throws it into the waste paper basket. Honestly, try and send a letter try and use a post box. Nobody's got any utility for it. So, technology is going to determine what you are capable of learning and harnessing and utilizing. So we are very grateful to Mr. Bhatia for taking the time off, and I'm really looking forward to what he's got to say. I must tell you a little about AEEDU, the Alliance for Economic and Education Development of the Underprivileged. We have chosen the title very carefully. It has to be neutral. It is not to be linked to any religion, caste, just like Jai Hind. And our aim is to serve as a think tank. We need a think tank to show the way forward for the young. We've got to teach the ability to our working classes to be entrepreneurs. Why can't cooks, carpenters, masons, electricians, plumbers do their business on their own through technology rather than working for a contractor? Why must a cook? Why can't he market his wares through technology? It's very much possible. A regimental officer of mine, his son, I've known that boy ever since he was 2 years old. He is now a billionaire through marketing food online. So one of the purposes of AEEDU is to permit workmen to harness the power of technology and become entrepreneurs. Secondly, we wanted to serve as an umbrella organization for education institutions of the underprivileged. There are hundreds of them. You know who the underprivileged are. We don't have to keep drumming it. But there are hundreds of institutions of the underprivileged. The institutions in the south are doing very well indeed. And we felt the need to bringing all of them under one umbrella so that each institution can adopt the best practices of the other. One of the practices which I was pushing is through schools, and what I learned in school, St. Joseph's College, Nainital, our teachers stayed on the campus. So the advantage, they were not looking at their watches, when to get home and when, because they were staying on campus, they were available to the principal 24/7. Whenever there was a crisis, within 2 minutes a teacher would come. Of course, majority of them were the Irish brothers, but we had lay teachers. So these are some of the best practices which we've got to pass on. So AEEDU is a think tank, it is an umbrella organization. Also, it is focusing on the education of a large section of the underprivileged who are presently studying in madrasas. I started my education in a madrasa when I was 4 years old, and then of course I went off to a boarding school. But I think these institutions have got a lot of adverse publicity. They've been demonized. What we need to do is equip the madrasas to modernize, harness technology so the students that pass out can get admissions on merit to institutions of higher learning. And that is where we've been very successful indeed. Because these young people have got immense determination. They are capable of imbibing a whole lot. I mean, a person who's memorized one of the books, the Quran, or if somebody memorizes the Gita, you can imagine the capability of that person. So we are harnessing, or we are doing that, and these institutions have got immense capability to reform, to change the lives of the students who study there, provided they don't concentrate only on theology. Yes, theology is very much part of the purpose for which they were formed, but we've got to equip the students to get gainful employment. I mean, he doesn't have to be a muezzin or imam for the rest of his life. He needs to do a lot of higher education. So that is what AEEDU is all about. It is a non-profit organization. The founding fathers were 5 of us, 2 of here, Shahid Siddiqui Sahab and myself. So we are working towards all these missions, and we cannot do it without your support. You must support us, and you can rest assured that AEEDU is working for the progress of the students, progress of the working classes, and above all, progress for the country. Thank you very much. I will not take much more time, and we look forward to Mr. Bhatia's talk.
Thank you, General Sahab. Today I read a news item this morning about AI and Google. Google was asked a question, AI was asked a question, ChatGPT was asked a question, are there cats on moon? And it said, yes, there are many cats, and the first, the first man who went to the moon did meet some of the cats. So it's good that General Sahab used AI for his paper, but be very, 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 very cautious about it, because AI can give you a lot of misleading information. So one has to know how to use it, what to use, what to leave out. That's what I said. And moreover, apart from rote learning, what is extremely important, I taught for 16 years in Delhi University, and I always used to spend first few weeks on teaching my students how to ask questions. Because if you learn to ask questions, how, why, where, when, ask questions from yourself, from your books, from your environment, from your parents, from whatever, where you are born, ask questions. Once you ask questions, if you are able to ask the right questions, half of your work is done, and half of the work, the answers you will ultimately find. So another story I would like to tell. In 1987, sir, we went to United States with Rajiv Gandhi, he was the Prime Minister. President Ronald Reagan was there. Rajiv Gandhi wanted Americans to give us a supercomputer, but that was rejected. Ronald Reagan was not ready to do that. He said, we cannot give you a supercomputer. That's not possible. So when we were returning, Rajiv Gandhi invited some of us to his cabin, and he told us, bhai, ye to hua nahi. So we said, why can't we have a supercomputer? He said, we can, but it may take a long time. So we said, why can't we give all the resources to our, experts and scientists and innovators to do that? And that's exactly what Rajiv Gandhi did. And I always say that if we were given that supercomputer, we wouldn't have been IT superpower, because it was denied to us, and therefore in trying to make a supercomputer, we turned into an IT superpower. So sometimes it's good that we are denied some of the things and we are able to use it. So I want every one of you sitting here to learn from what Sabeer Bhatia did. He asked questions. And that's what he is trying to teach all of us, to be critical, to be innovative, to do critical thinking is extremely important. That's what he will be talking about. I'll now request Kavita Sharma ji to, yeah, please come.
Lifelong habit of teaching.
Yes. But not 50 minutes, because we teachers are used to 50 minutes.
No, I'm not just joking. To hear him. I don't need to speak.
No, I'm just joking. We are used to 50 minutes lecture.
पहले तो अख्तर साहब का बहुत शुक्रिया कि उन्होंने मुझे आज बुलाया, और AEEDU जितना काम कर रहा है बिल्कुल काबिल तारीफ़ है। अब ये डिसरप्टिव टेक्नोलॉजीज़ की जो बात होती है एजुकेशन में, बहुत यूज़फुल है, होना भी चाहिए, लेकिन और 2-4 पॉइंट्स मैं कहूँगी कि क्यों होना चाहिए, लेकिन हिंदुस्तान जैसी बड़ी कॉम्प्लेक्स जगह में जहाँ अनइवन डेवलपमेंट है, मैं एक वोकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट को चेयर करती थी देहरादून में, और जब पैंडेमिक हुआ तो हमारी लड़कियां जो थीं, इट वाज ओनली फॉर गर्ल्स, जो लड़कियां थीं दे वर बिलो पॉवर्टी लाइन कैंडिडेट्स, वो रिमोट एरियाज़ ऑफ हिल में थी, उनको सिखाना पढ़ाना बहुत मुश्किल हो गया, क्योंकि उनके पास तो कोई इक्विपमेंट नहीं था, उनके पास कनेक्टिविटी नहीं थी। तो हम एज एवरीथिंग इन इंडिया हैपन्स पॉकेट्स में होगा, अनलेस हम संभाल के उसको नहीं रखेंगे। अब क्यों हमको टेक्नोलॉजी चाहिए? सारी दुनिया में, हम हिंदुस्तान में बहुत कहते हैं कि हमारा बजट फॉर हायर एजुकेशन कम होता जाता है, बट सारी दुनिया में कम होता जाता है, तो इसलिए वो भी हायर एजुकेशन में तो कम होता ही जाता है। दूसरा ये है कि इंडिया में तो पब्लिक सेक्टर यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं, इसलिए फ़ीस जो है सब्सिडाइज्ड है, लेकिन बाकी जगह सब्सिडाइज्ड नहीं है ज़्यादातर, तो इसलिए स्टूडेंट्स के जो स्टूडेंट लोन है वो बहुत हेवी हो जाता है। जब तक वो निकलते हैं पढ़ा के, उनके ऊपर इतना बोझ होता है लोन का। दूसरा ये है कि एवरीबडी, वेदर इट इज़ गवर्नमेंट, वेदर इट इज़ बिजनेसेस, वेदर इट इज़ people in higher education, we want more graduates, more education, more productivity, more efficiency. लेकिन ये change कैसे आएगा? तो ये change, I think for long, एक तो I am one of the dissenters, मुझे गुरु शिष्य परंपरा बिल्कुल समझ में नहीं आती। जैसे आपने कहा ना, we have to learn to question and not within a certain framework. Right. हमारे यहाँ कहते हैं कि जी वो तो क्वेश्चनिंग होती थी, बट वो फ्रेमवर्क तो नहीं बदलता था ना, हमको तो फ्रेमवर्क बदलना है। आई मीन देयर शुड बी नो क्वेश्चन विच इज़ एब्सर्ड, इट इज़ विदिन द रेल्म्स ऑफ बीइंग आंसर्ड, इट हैज़ टू बी आंसर्ड। तो आजकल मैं लोक आयात बहुत सुनती हूँ, जो सोल में नहीं बिलीव करते, जो ईश्वर में नहीं बिलीव करते, वो किसी में नहीं बिलीव करते, वो एक साइंटिफिक kind of a thing. Anyway, the thing is, मैंने क्यों गुरु शिष्य परंपरा के बारे में कहा? We must learn to put the student at the center, not the teacher at the center. And this is easier done through disruptive technologies than through what we have in India, the industrial kind of a teaching. The classroom, board, chalk and talk, और बहुत किया तो कंप्यूटर, बट कंप्यूटर में भी तो वही रिपीट कर देते हैं। जो लेक्चर हम वैसे दे रहे थे वो हम कंप्यूटर में उसको कर देते हैं और बता देते हैं, तो दैट इज़ नॉट डिसरप्टिव, दैट इज़ ओनली द सेम मोड ऑफ टॉक, इट्स अगेन द चॉक एंड टॉक। और हमारे टीचर्स बहुत रेजिस्टेंट हैं ऑनलाइन टीचिंग के ऊपर, दे से इट इज़ नॉट गुड इनफ। आई थिंक इट सर्व्स अ ह्यूज पर्पस। मैं सेवा में काम करती थी गुजरात में, एंड वहाँ पे आई एम सरप्राइज्ड, दो सेमी लिटरेट women, rural women, they use a lot of technology, to increase their businesses, to increase their skills. मुझे एक लेडी ने बताया कि मैं पूरे गांव के लिए जो है ब्लाउज सिलती हूँ. मैंने कहा कहाँ सीखा, क्योंकि उसको घर से जाने की बाहर इजाज़त नहीं थी. बोले कुछ नहीं, YouTube पे सीखा. And she has a huge business. And now she was learning how to speak in English, क्योंकि उसको ये समझ में आया कि मैं बिना अंग्रेज़ी बोले आगे नहीं बढ़ सकती. तो इसलिए all these technologies are very useful, but it's not just the technology, it's how we use the technology. हम उसका इस्तेमाल जो है नई चीज़ों में करेंगे कि हम किसी और उसको रेप्लिकेट कर देंगे. जो हम मुंह से बोलते हैं, खड़े होके बोलते हैं, उसी को हमने कंप्यूटर में डाल दिया, यूट्यूब में डाल दिया. It is still a passive one-way thing. Now to kind of finish, because the one thing that teachers must be made to do is they must all teach online. तो उनको समझ में आएगा कि इसका फ़ायदा क्या है. अब they were plunged into it in during the pandemic. अगर pandemic नहीं होता, अभी आप कह रहे थे ना कि if we had got super computers we wouldn't have become an IT power. अगर pandemic नहीं होता तो कोई कंप्यूटर पे पढ़ाना शुरू नहीं करता. So the faculty is back again, very resistant. They say हमारा role क्या रह जाएगा. Well, they still have to design instructions, except that they have to do it together with the student to make it more meaningful to their lives. They still have to develop self-help tools and course content. They still have to be at some end to be able to answer questions. You imagine a classroom, वहाँ 10 लोग बैठे हैं, students हैं, और 10 अलग-अलग course अलग-अलग university से follow कर रहे हैं. So what is the role of the teacher? To facilitate, to answer questions, to guide the confused, to establish learning outcomes, to design assessments, to find out कि कितनी learning हुई कि नहीं. Not the kind of exams we take, that's a useless assessment. वो तो हम सिर्फ rote learning का assessment है. Then जो अभी मतलब who are not equipped to learn, क्योंकि आपकी टेक्नोलॉजी से you don't have to be कि आप 12वीं पास होंगे तब आप ये करेंगे और BA करेंगे तो ये करेंगे. You can learn, you can take your online course, but then you have to, a teacher is needed to help you, equip you. Help students on how to learn. सबको नहीं मालूम, जैसे आप अभी कह रहे थे ना, इतना मटेरियल अवेलेबल है, उसको कैसे हम छांटें और कौन छांटेगा, उसके लिए टीचर चाहिए. सपोर्ट विथ वेल टाइम्ड क्वेश्चंस. एक स्टूडेंट कुछ कह रहा है, उसको मना के नहीं ये गलत है, उसको सवाल पूछिए ना. एक सवाल से दूसरे सवाल पे ले जाए, उसको अपने आप समझ में आ जाएगा. उसका शायद पर्सपेक्टिव बदल जाए या आपका बदल जाए. लेट्स नॉट get away with that possibility. And we have to use technology on, we have to learn how to fail. If we don't have the capacity to fail, we can't succeed. And therefore we have to learn use technology कि ये गड़बड़ हुई तो हम आगे इसको कैसे करें. What should be the use? So therefore student centered learning, disruptive technology से आसान है. Offer students more options to do various things. Capitalize on the willingness of student and faculty to experiment. ये जो हमारा बोर्ड, मेरा बस चले मैं सारे बोर्ड्स अबॉलिश कर दूँ, मेरा बस चले तो मैं सारे एनुअल एग्जाम्स अबॉलिश कर दूँ. तो future more disruptive, whether we like it or no, more disruptive technologies will come in, but the tools will have to be used to bring about real change and not replicate. There will be a changing relationship between teacher and student. हमको अच्छा लगे, बुरा लगे, जो भी लगे, we have, it will sharpen the insight of the student. जैसे आपने अभी कहा, information तो है उनके पास, अब उनकी insight, उस information का मतलब क्या निकला, that has to be. Design instruction to increase learning and make it relevant to the life of the student and life of the community. कुछ downsides भी हैं, हर चीज़ अच्छी नहीं होती. वो है डेटा सिक्योरिटी. अभी NEP 2020 में कहा गया डिजिटल बैंक होगा, आपके क्रेडिट्स उसमें स्टोर हो जाएंगे. अब वो सिक्योरिटी भी तो चाहिए, डेटा सिक्योरिटी भी चाहिए. फैकल्टी ट्रेनिंग, जब तक ट्रेनिंग नहीं होगी दे विल गो ऑन रेजिस्टिंग. इज देयर अ रिस्क ऑफ रिप्लेसिंग ह्यूमन बीइंग्स विथ ऑटोमेशन? Yes, there is. It's the easy way out. But there is not. Because आप जो उसमें फीड इन करेगा, जो उसका प्रोग्राम बनाएगा, जो आपके सवालों का जवाब देगा, वो एक इंसान चाहिए. You need higher level of expertise. That is all that you need. And therefore, all innovation will have to be balanced with responsibilities, but you will have to use technology, whether we like it or no. अब ये हिंदुस्तान में जहाँ इतना disparity of educational standards है, उसमें कैसे implement करेंगे, ये सोचने वाली बात है. उसके implementation में decentralization के सिवाय कोई चारा नहीं. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Kavita ji. Thank you very much. I'll now request Professor Furqan Qamar Sahab to come and address us.
Advice दे दो हिंदी में, हिंदुस्तानी में.
नहीं, ये बहुत शुक्रिया आप हिंदुस्तानी में बोली, क्योंकि ये भी ज़रूरी है कि लोग समझ पाएँ. ज़ुबान इम्पॉर्टेंट नहीं है, अंग्रेज़ी सब ज़ुबानें जो हैं वो अच्छी हैं, और सब इस बुनियादी मकसद होना चाहिए कि लोगों तक पहुंच सके. तो इसलिए सब फ्री हैं, किसी भी ज़ुबान में बोल सकते हैं, मिक्स बोल सकते हैं, खिचड़ी में बोल सकते हैं. जी
खिचड़ी है हमारी तो.
नहीं, बिरयानी अलाउड नहीं है यहाँ पे. उसने ही बर्बाद किया है कौम को.
गुड मॉर्निंग, अस्सलाम वालेकुम, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल, वड़क्कम. India is a diverse country, and as one of the eminent sociologists said, that if you talk about my identity, I am a 5,000-year-old Malayali, I am a 2,000-year-old Christian, and I am a 75-year-old Indian. And obviously he was talking about free India post-independence. I can add that I am about 1,700-year-old Muslim. So India is a nation of many diverse countries, and I think the future also lies in assimilating and respecting all diversities and all culture, and that is why, sir, with due regard to you, I used all of these in a few language as my salutation to the audience. I think today we are living in an uncertain time. Uncertain time in the sense that we know what changes have become or what changes have come in our life over the past so many years. What we do not know, that what changes are likely to happen. The other day I was participating in one program, and there the discussion was that artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all these possibilities that are emerging, higher educational institutions do not know that by the time their graduates would come out of their campus, whether their knowledge would still be relevant. So how should they plan their curricula? How should they teach their curricula? Is a challenge, and we really do not know. There are all kinds of stories that we read, we hear. We hear that almost 90% of the repetitive jobs would be taken over by the artificial intelligence. We hear that the universities of the future would be a high-tech universities where brick and mortars would play less important role or no role, and the technology would dominate. We also hear stories that no, universities of the future would be the universities of the kind that Aristotle has, that you ask questions and people answer, and you ask further questions, so they will go back to. In the meantime, there is a generational change that is happening. The way we learned or we were expected to learn, I think our children are not necessarily learning in the same way. I recall there is a story from Frangi Mahal that a scholar wanted his son also to be a scholar. And one day while his son was doing his study, he asked for a bowl of water. And then this scholar said that लगता है इसका पढ़ने में दिल नहीं लगता, ये इल्म नहीं हासिल कर पाएगा, और गुस्से में उन्होंने नौकर से कहा कि इसको मिट्टी का तेल दे दो, इसके जिंदा रहने से अच्छा ये है. And the servant gave him a bowl of kerosene oil, and his son, while he was studying, he drank that kerosene oil. And then this scholar said, thank God, लगता है अब ये पढ़ जाएगा, concentration है अभी. So we were expected to have that kind of concentration. And today educationist tells that these youngsters who are sitting here, they can't concentrate for more than 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We were taught and we were told that you listen and you can learn. I think this generation also believes that, okay, we can try, we can make error, we can hit, we can learn. So, given these kinds of situations, we need to develop some clarity. And I don't think we can have a better person today than Mr. Sabeer Bhatia. When he invented his Hotmail, it was not that the email did not exist, but he identified that you have to be at a certain place in order to use your email. So he freed the world from that you could access your email from anywhere. So he saw the future. He saw that people's need is somewhat different than what they already have. I think we are all gathered here to listen to him, that how does he sees the future and what kind of preparation should go into keeping our future generation ready to get the best advantage of that future. A few things we must always keep in mind, and we generally keep in mind, that of course when he is speaking, he is a technology enthusiast, I'm sure, and he would be providing us this perspective. Education somehow, not necessarily because of teachers, but because of a number of factors, have somehow been rather resistant to change. So over the past 1200 years, while the world has changed significantly, the education system continues to remain as it was. Only the color of the board has changed, only the chalk that we use, that has changed. But I think that method still remains the same by and large, which in fact many people say that it will not work. Second thing is that if AI is capable of taking decisions and doing things, and people would not be needed, or a very small number of people would be needed who would be doing the thinking and the innovation and the design jobs, so then another question arises, that should we be afraid of that situation? That what will people do, the unemployed? But the more I think that we should rather be happy that companies, industries need consumers. And to be consumers, we need to have money in our pocket. So if robots do all the jobs, we become unemployed, but then we also don't have money, so who will buy things? And therefore, for whom would the companies produce? And therefore, I think this universal basic income would become more universal. So we will get money, all GDP divided by all the people in the country. So that is the concept of Swarg. बिना कुछ किए अगर कुछ सामान मिले और हम कंज्यूमर भी हो जाएं, तो इससे अच्छा क्या है? Are we heading to that kind of situation? Or so I think we should use as much time to interact, to learn from Sabeer that what he has to offer for us, for the younger generations, for the generations to come, and we must realize that the change is imminent. The only constant is change, that is the saying. So the change is imminent, it's happening. None of us are in a position to stop that change. The only thing that we can do is brace ourselves for change. And when we are preparing ourselves to brace for this change, I think we must keep in mind that this change must positively be leveraged by all segments of the society. If there is a change that benefits only the rich, that is not a good change. If there is a change from which only certain majority sections of the society benefit, that is not a good change. So it has to be all embracing change. And finally, I think we would also like to hear from Sabeer. Sabeer is an Indian, did his undergraduation from US, did his master's from US. He was able to do a lot of things, his entrepreneurial, his creative, his design thinking, while being away from India. And that is not only his story, but is a story of the most successful Indians. Of all the Nobel laureates whose names you can recount, Rabindranath Tagore did not study in any university, so he had no formal degree. Two others you can name that, okay, Raman, that, okay, he studied and worked in India and got Nobel Prize. All other Nobel Prize, you had to leave your country after your first degree. I think that talks about the ecosystem. What is it that US has, the Europe has, which we do not have in India? The Indian brain per se is not a bad brain. Had it been that kind of situation, so many CEOs, so many deans of business schools, engineering institutions, vice chancellors and presidents of international universities would not have been Indian today. So they are. So why can't Indians be what they become when they are in Canada, they are in America, when they are in Europe? I think what we need to do to develop that ecosystem, and I think that preparedness is also very important, both at the individual level, also at the institutional level, but at the national level. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and I must put on record my appreciation to Shahid Saab and Mahmood Akhter Saab. When they said that they wanted to have this program on 26th, next day of election, on a Sunday at 10 o'clock, when the temperature is 47 degrees, I said, think about it, have the program in the evening. When they said, okay, the program is going to be in this C.T. Deshmukh auditorium, I said, are you sure? Can't we have a smaller room? Would you be able to have as much audience? But I see the hall is full of quality audience, and I think a lot of credit goes to your pushing, your commitment, and Mahmood Akhter Saab for your persuasion. So congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Furqan Qamar Saab. Thank you very much. देखिए ये वाज़ेह हो रहा है कि लोगों में जानने की, पहचानने की बहुत ज़्यादा उत्सुकता है, ख्वाहिश है. और आपने एक बात कही, you said one thing, that why we don't have the environment where we can produce the Nobel laureates. I think one most important reason is that we don't encourage inquiry. हम सवाल पूछने को डिस्करेज करते हैं. हमारी पूरी तहजीब में बचपन से, जब से पैदा होते हैं, घरों के अंदर, स्कूलों के अंदर, हर जगह पर ये कहा जाता है सवाल मत पूछो. और इतना सवाल ना पूछने की वजह से जो हम आउट ऑफ बॉक्स सोच सकते हैं, जो हम नई बातें सोच सकते हैं, जो किसी ने नहीं सोची वो सोच सकते हैं कि ये सेब मेरे सिर पे क्यों गिरा, ये अगर सोच सकते हैं तो फिर हम इनोवेट कर सकते हैं। और जब सोचने नहीं दिया जाता और अगर सोचने वाला सवाल पूछता है तो हम कहते हैं खामोश, चुप, ये क्या बेहुदा सवाल करते हो, पढ़ो ज़रा। मुझे अपना याद है, मैंगलोर भी एक स्कूल में पढ़ता था, तो फिज़िक्स के मेरे टीचर थे, तो अगर मैं कोई सवाल पूछ लेता था, मेरी आदत थी मैं जाके लाइब्रेरी में पुराने जो नए जनरल आते थे उनको पढ़ता था, उनसे मैं काफ़ी कुछ जानता था। तो जहाँ मैं सवाल पूछ लेता हूँ कहते थे खामोश, न्यूटन की थ्योरी बताओ। और मैं जब थ्योरी बताता था उसमें कहता दी खा गया तुम, दी, यानी वो रटना जो है वो इम्पॉर्टेंट था, वो लफ्ज़ का रटना, वो अल्फाज का रटना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था बनिस्बत इसके न्यूटन ने क्या कहा था, क्यों कहा था, कैसे कहा था, क्या पूछा था। तो ये सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है और यही काम जो है आज हमने इसीलिए सबीर भाटिया साहब को बुलाया है और जावेद यूनुस साहब को बुलाया है कि ये हमें कुछ सिखाएंगे, बताएंगे कि किस तरह से हम अपने दिमाग की खिड़कियां खोल सकते हैं, आउट ऑफ बॉक्स सोच सकते हैं और नए रास्ते ढूंढ सकते हैं। क्योंकि आप में से मुझे यकीन है कि बहुत सारे इनोवेटर्स पैदा हो रहे हैं, होंगे। और एक सब्र की बात भी कि सब्र जो आपने कहा था कि आज ज़्यादा देर 10 मिनट से ज़्यादा समझ नहीं पाते, तो ये बच्चे बैठे हैं और हमारी बातें सुन रहे हैं काफ़ी देर से और सुनेंगे। हाँ, काम की बातें होती हैं तो दिस पीपल कैन कंसंट्रेट एंड दे आर कंसंट्रेटिंग। थैंक यू वेरी मच। जावेद साहब प्लीज़, आप यहाँ से बोलेंगे।
General Shah, Shahid Siddiqui Sahab, dignitaries on the dais, dignitaries in the audience, ladies and gentlemen, children at the back, good morning, adab. Thank you very much, AEEDU, for inviting us here this morning. AEEDU, as I understand, is a very serious-minded and good-hearted endeavor to emancipate and educate underprivileged sections of our society by some very eminent and well-known, learned leaders. So thank you very much for having us to begin with. I'll limit my role to introducing Sabeer Bhatia because that's what, I'll not come too much between you all and Sabeer. And, without much ado, I'd like to introduce him. So it is a privilege to introduce him. He's my associate and a very dear friend. I'll start with Sabeer, the student, the young boy. He was born to an army family. And as General Shah says, that all army brats do very well in life, so he was one of them. He was born to an army family. He schooled at St. Joseph's in Bangalore and did consistently well in academics. Thereafter, he joined BITS Pilani. It's not easy to get admission in BITS Pilani, as you all know. Before he completed 2 years at BITS Pilani, he was offered a scholarship by the California Institute of Technology, better known as Caltech, one of the leading schools globally. He was offered scholarship. He left BITS, went to Caltech and completed his graduation in engineering at Caltech. Thereafter, he went to Stanford University and did his post-graduation there. He subsequently joined Apple Computers. He worked with Apple for a while, and since he has the mind of a genius, very, very impatient, he left Apple Computers and joined Firepower Systems. There he met Jack Smith. And along with Jack Smith, he got this brilliant idea of starting a post office on the web, which would be accessible to all, which is actually by way of transferring a client-based server application to a cloud or web-based application. So that was the breakaway point. That was the revolution. And how was it a revolution? Because it set free email. Email we heard this earlier, email was there earlier, but it was there in a very limited way. It was not free, it was not open to all, but the moment Sabeer put this on the World Wide Web, it became open to all. He called it Hotmail, so that was the brand. And Hotmail he ran for about a year in 1997, through 97 to about 1998. Then Microsoft got very, very interested to acquire Hotmail. And they acquired it from him for about 400 million, whopping $400 million in 1998. That was a big amount of money. It made very big news all over the world. And he came to be known as the US-based Indian business person who's made so much of money. But that is not what he was, and that is not what he still is. He is, in fact, an innovator. He's an inventor. He invented free email, and he set into motion a complete communication revolution globally. So that's what Sabeer Bhatia did. And subsequently, he continued in his role of a techpreneur. He contributed lots of thoughts and inventions and collaborations with various groups. And now he's working on ShowReel. ShowReel is an accelerator app-based education system for entrepreneurship. And I have the privilege of being co-founder with him on that. We look forward to educating a lot of people in entrepreneurship through ShowReel. And ShowReel also has other spin-offs which are currently in action. I think Sabeer is the better place, a person to tell you about it. You hear it from the horse's mouth. Now, that was Sabeer, the student, Sabeer the innovator, Sabeer the professional. The Sabeer that a lot of other people know is Sabeer the golfer, Sabeer the skier, Sabeer the long-distance cyclist. He actually goes out for 75-mile-long cycle trips. And Sabeer, the fitness, I don't want to call it a fitness freak, but a fitness enthusiast. Yeah. That's what he is. So he actually practices Dr. Woodrow's 5-day fasting regimen, which is one of the most difficult things to do in the world. In fact, I was the one who introduced him. He might tell you this himself, but I'll say it lest he forgets. I was the one who introduced him to Rozas, to Ramzan. And he actually fasted a complete Ramzan some years ago, the complete month. And that's how he got into fasting and then into fitness. And he's very, very keenly enthusiastic about fitness. So, and lastly, but not the least, Sabeer is a very indulgent family man. He has 3 lovely children, all school going, 2 boys and a girl. And he is so indulgent in day-to-day care of his children. And he spends a lot of time with them. So obviously he's a great family man and a great associate to work with. It's a sheer pleasure to be his partner. Thank you very much. Over to Shahid Bhai. And sorry, one little bit. Yeah. Mr. Shahid Siddiqui is, the reason why we are here. Because he has actually been constantly in touch with us and our endeavor. He's always wanted to know what we are doing, how we are doing, how he can adapt what we are doing to AEEDU's endeavors and so on and so forth. In fact, we're doing something with Jamia Millia Islamia University, which is still to take off. So Shahid Bhai, in fact, was very keen that whenever Sabeer is here, he should address you all. And thanks goes to him a lot for having us here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Javed Saab. I'm very keen, and this is just the beginning of a wonderful relationship between AEEDU and Sabeer Bhatia Saab and Javed Saab, because we want it to continue, because we want what he is doing is exactly what we want to do, what we need, and he is providing the platform which can be utilized to take best quality education skills to the underprivileged or the people where it can't reach, and that's what Sabeer is thinking. I'll now request Sabeer Saab to please.
My God, number of questions I have to answer from this group. But let me first begin by thanking AEEDU, thanking Mr. Shahid Siddiqui, Lieutenant General Zameer Uddin Shah, Dr. Kavita Sharma, Professor Qamar, and of course my great friend Javed Yunus for such a warm welcome. I have tried to write down all of the questions that Professor Qamar threw at me, which was Probably if I start answering them one by one, you guys will be here till 5 o'clock this evening. So I'll try to condense that. And I will try to condense that in the form of a story. First, I will begin with my personal journey, where I started, how I went to Caltech, and from there went to Stanford, and then went on to Apple Computer, and thought of the idea to do Hotmail. And along the way, I will give you some anecdotes of my experiences that will kind of contrast between the Indian system of education and what I received at Caltech and Stanford. And then I will talk a little bit about the history of Silicon Valley. I'll talk about my views on education, how we can fix it and fix it fast using artificial intelligence. I will talk about some of the future technologies that I have seen and witnessed that truly will transform not just our lives, but all of human life. And I will conclude with an opportunity to see how we can partner with AEEDU, which is such a wonderful organization. And then I will make one suggestion to AEEDU, which AEEDU may embrace or not, but I leave it for the end. And so let me begin with my personal journey. Like everyone else, I went to school over here in India at St. Joseph's Boys High School. I went to BITS Pilani. And a couple of friends of mine had applied to MIT before I went to BITS Pilani, and they got in over there. One of my best friends, his name is Rahul Sarpeshkar, and I had wanted to go to Caltech. So I applied as a transfer student to Caltech the first year, and they accidentally, were not accustomed to getting applicants in the undergraduate level, so they sent me the graduate application form. And in those days, everything was done through correspondence. You couldn't pick up the phone and call. There was no email. So I wrote back to them saying, you've sent me the wrong form. I'm an undergraduate wanting to transfer to Caltech, and you've sent me the graduate application form. So they said, oh my God, we are so sorry we did that. And I'm like, okay, you know what? My chances of going to Caltech are gone. No chance. I will just finish my undergrad here at BITS Pilani and go once I'm done, which is the usual thing that lots of students opt for. Fortunately or coincidentally, the next year they remembered that I was accidentally sent the wrong application form. So they sent me the undergraduate transfer application form and said, we will waive the application fee for you because we made a mistake last year. And that application fee in those days was $40. So I was like, this is great. And they're like, but you have to take this test that is administered by Caltech, which is independent of the SATs, which are most undergraduate students take. And this is, we will test your proficiency in physics, chemistry, and mathematics. So I'm like, I have nothing to lose. It's free. I have to apply. All I have to do is take this test, and maybe if I pass it, anything is possible. So I took that test. I went to the US consular office here in Delhi from BITS Pilani and took the test in all the 3 subjects. But the mathematics was so difficult. I thought this really tested your fundamental understanding of why you were using differential equations, what was the purpose behind it, what problem were they solving at the end. And I had a natural interest in mathematics ever since I was a little kid. So I thought that was a brilliant paper, but extremely difficult. I mean, I couldn't even finish it in 3 hours. So I resigned myself and said, there is no way I'm going to get admission into Caltech. This is not even possible. So I went on to do a summer internship at the Bhabha Atomic Research Center in Mumbai. And then I get a call from my parents, and once again, there are no phones over there. They called a family friend of ours in Mumbai who called me and said, "You've got into California." California? What do you mean you've got into California? No, your parents have called and said, "You've got into California." I'm like, could it be Caltech? I mean, that's not possible. So I'm like, okay, you just hold on. Let me just come over. So I took a bus and took the trains and stuff and went from Bhabha Atomic Research Center to where they were staying in Bandra, and was able to talk to my parents. And my parents said, yeah, there is this acceptance letter from the California Institute of Technology. I'm like, there's no way. This is unbelievable. So that's how I started my whole thing, my journey to Caltech. And I went over to Caltech, and there is something called orientation at Caltech, where a professor, and he is Professor Ricardo Gomez, I still remember his name. He just called me and he says, "Are you Sabeer Bhatia?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Come here. Let me show you. Do you know why you're here at Caltech?" I said, "No, I'm shocked why I'm over here." So he showed me my math paper, and he said that you got a 62 in mathematics. I said, "Wow, and you guys accepted me?" He says, "The next highest was a 42, and you're the only one who passed the exam in the world." So that's how I got a full scholarship at Caltech. Thank you. It's been a Cinderella story since then. I graduated from Caltech, I went to Stanford, and while I was studying at Stanford, I actually wanted to do a PhD over there, and a PhD in electrical engineering. And I took a course called Business for Electrical Engineers, in which people like Steve Jobs and Scott McNealy and Fred Gibbons came and spoke to us about how they had started their companies. And they were ordinary people, just like you and me. So I was inspired by that. So I took a leave of absence from my PhD and went and joined Apple Computer. And the internet was, then from Apple, I went to Firepower Systems, which was another startup. Startups in Silicon Valley are the ones that are really at the cutting edge of innovation. So Firepower itself was a company that was created for based on the PowerPC processor in those days, which was much superior to Intel-based processors. But the lead that they had initially was obliterated in 2 years. We're talking about timing. Technology is such a fast-moving train that if you don't hit the market at the right time, and if you're off just by a year or two, you don't have a company. You don't have a future. It's just, that's it. You have to cease operations. So after 2 years, the lead that they had 2 years earlier was completely obliterated by Intel-based PCs. And so I knew the writing was on the wall that the company wouldn't make it. But then the internet was just new then, or the World Wide Web, I should say, was new. The internet has been around since 1969. But the World Wide Web, which was created by Mark Andreessen, was new. And people were putting different kind of web pages on the web. So I'm like, this is going to be big one day. I started thinking about how could I participate in this new, emergence of this World Wide Web. So the first thing, the first idea that I had was to create a personal web-based database, which you could store all of your personal information on the web and access it from any web page. I started, writing a business plan for it, started developing software for it on evenings, weekends. And that's when, of course, I enlisted my partner, Jack Smith, to join me in this endeavor. And that's when the company installed a firewall around our corporate intranet, which made it impossible for us to access our personal email accounts. I had one at stanford.edu, and he had one at AOL.com. And that's when it occurred to us, just a simple idea. What if we made email available on the web? That would solve our problem. So talking about innovation, innovation doesn't come out of rigor like we think it is, like you have to study, for tens of years in a particular field. No, that is science. But innovation really comes from simple ideas. You have to be just aware. And we said, wait a minute, that would solve our problem. And we quickly, rewrote our business plan and went to a venture capitalist. I went to 19 venture capitalists who turned us down. But we had some instinct, a vision that this was going to work. And that's what kept us going. And even though 19 turned us down, the 20th gave us a small sum of money, $300,000 in those days. And I knew that this was going to be big. We launched the service with that idea, and of course we did not know how we were going to make money, as is the case for 99% of companies that start in Silicon Valley. They don't start with a business venture or a monetary outcome idea. They start really to solve a fundamental problem. And these days, all the problems that we are solving that are fundamental in nature are really on the web, in cyberspace, in someone's mind, all about human thought and human imagination. We launched the service. In the first 3 months, we had 1 million subscribers. In the first 1 year, we had 5 million subscribers. And that's when Microsoft came knocking. And at that time, Microsoft had something called the Microsoft Network. And they had a hard time providing email to, in those days, they were just 3 million Microsoft Network customers. And here we were growing to 5 million and scaling very quickly to 10 million. So we started discussing with Microsoft, and of course they wanted to learn how we were doing our technology, what was behind it, and we started, what first started as a business relationship very quickly became a full-blown kind of acquisition offer. And I will just take a little bit of your time to tell you my first experience with Bill Gates. So it was October 13th in 1996 that I was taken to the offices of Bill Gates. But before I was taken to his office, I was shown all the 42 buildings of Microsoft and told this is a whole division that just does Office, this is a division that does Excel, this is a division that does MSN and XYZ. We were fed a very good lunch, and then we were taken to Bill Gates' office. And of course, everybody was nervous, including the senior vice presidents at Microsoft. And in those days already, Bill Gates was the king of all of software. So we go around the room introducing everyone one by one. And then Bill says, "Hi, I'm Bill Gates." And I shake his hand and says, "I know who you are." And their vice president of Microsoft Network just said, "Okay, Sabeer, now that introductions are out of the way, why don't you tell us what you do?" And I started telling them about Hotmail, what Hotmail was, the genesis of the idea. And Bill Gates just sat in his sofa, and he was looking everywhere else, looking out the window, wasn't looking at me. And that was a little disconcerting, but I'm like, listen, you know what, I'm just going to go on. I don't care if he's not paying attention. But he had heard every word of, what I had to say. And at the end of it, he started asking me questions. So how are you going to monetize it? How big can it be? How scalable is it? What is the end goal for this? And he had heard every question. And, these were questions that I had already heard before, so I was able to answer them. At the end of it, we go out the room, and he shakes each of our hands. And he when I'm leaving the room, he says, "I hope we can do something together. Otherwise, we like to write software too." So it was very clear that obviously if we did not partner with them, one day they would enter into our space. Then I'm taken into this other negotiating room with 3 of us, my partner, Jack Smith, myself, our VP of Marketing, Steve Dowdy, and there were 12 Microsoft negotiators on the other side. And they make this phenomenal pitch and tell us how our company is, they love our company, and the first offer they make is $140 million. So they want me to respond at that point in time at the negotiating table. And I had been warned, just don't open your mouth. Just accept that offer, hear them out, go back, and we will discuss how to counter it. Their chief financial officer, Greg Maffei, kept trying to get me to say yes. And, come on, 3 of us over here, my bank balance was $5,000, and here they're offering us $140 million. And I'm like, let me just go back. I'm like, no, thank you so much. We really like your offer. We love you too, just as much as you love us, but I got to go back and talk to my board about it. And that was the right thing to do. So for those of you who were ever in a situation of negotiations, that's what you should do. So we went back, discussed it. There was obviously a lot of excitement in the company. And so we had to counter that offer somehow, right? And there were different board members. One of the board members thought we should increase it from 150 to 180 million. Another one said, no, I think you should ask for 2 billion. I mean, here's a company which was not making any money, and to ask for 2 billion would be like, stupidity. So I had to, take care of all different perspectives, views, but come to a reasonable counteroffer. And instinctively, once again, I thought 450 to 500 million would be the right counteroffer. But I knew that you couldn't counter with that, because then they would counter back with something else. So I had to counter with 750 million, we had decided. So on a phone call with Greg Maffei and a whole bunch of other people, we were negotiating. And so I had prepared a 32-page presentation that had all the reasons why we were valued at 750 million. But I didn't want to give that one last page to Greg Maffei. So we painfully went through the 31 pages of why we were valued, and he was like, this was for 45 minutes on a call. And he's like, okay, what is the point? How much is the... And so we had faxed that over, to him in those days. We didn't email it, but faxed the whole presentation back to him. And so then he was getting frustrated, and then he said, oh, you didn't get the last page? Let me fax that to you. And so we slowly faxed the last page with 750 million offer. And he's like, what? He blew his top. He's like, are you serious? There is no way we're going to do this. And I'm like, listen, you know what? Don't blame me. That's the board. The board has just asked me to do this, and I'm just telling you what it is. And so we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. At one point, there was a phone call, and they had offered me like 350 million, and said, Greg called me up on the phone and said, this is, I've spoken to Bill, and the maximum we can do at this point really is 350, and that is our final offer. And I don't know what in my brain just went off, and we were on a call with about 15, 20 people on the call. And I said, Greg, if that is your final offer, thank you very much. It was very nice knowing you. I don't think we have a deal. But, who knows? Our paths might cross in the future. And I put the phone down. And my business partner, Jack, looks at me like with big eyes as if I had, committed the biggest heresy on the planet. And Steve was also like, what did you do? You could have at least have just said that, we'll consider it and get back. I said, I don't know. This back and forth is just taking away management time, taking away time from people. It's getting too much. We're not doing our work. We're just worrying about whether we should. And then all kinds of people from all the employees who had stock options came and started telling me, if you had sold that, if you sell this company, I can buy that house I always wanted to buy. I can buy that car I always wanted to buy. I'm like, listen, you do your job, let me do my job. Now, I'll just leave you with one other anecdote with my experience with my dad, on the phone. So my dad also knew that we were negotiating with Bill Gates, and so I call him up, and he said, "So what happened?" He said, "Oh, they made an offer." I said, "And why?" He said, "What do you do?" I said, "I turn it down." He said, "How much was the offer?" I said, 350 million. There was silence for 10, 15 seconds, and he's like, "You know how many zeros there are in rupees? I can't even put it on my calculator." So I'm like, "No, Dad, it's okay. You know what?" My dad is like, "You call him back right now and accept that offer." So for a week, I was staring at the ceiling, at the fan. I'm like, I've made the biggest mistake of my life. Did I really let this go? And this is an offer that I should have accepted. And I was thinking I made a big mistake. And a week later, Greg Maffei calls me back and says, "Listen, you had asked for 450 as your counter offer. How about we meet halfway?" And without even a second of hesitation, I'm like, "Yeah, I think that's great. Let's accept it." And that was how we did the deal, on the phone, really. And then we let the lawyers do the paperwork and this and that. And then they were also wanting to close the deal because they had to close it before the last day of 1997. Otherwise, there is some US regulation law that would have kicked in, that we would have had to get regulatory approval from the US government, and they wanted to do that. So this was on like the 23rd of December on the phone that we accepted that, and word is a word. I just took off to Hawaii and I signed the paperwork on the 30th of December 1997 from Hawaii, and the deal was done. So that is the deal, but let's move on and let's talk about, this happens in Silicon Valley almost on a weekly basis. What is Silicon Valley all about? It's about human thought. Really, it's about human thought. And whoever can build a better mousetrap, it's all emanates from ideas. And in my life over there for the past 30 years, I have seen at least $40 to $50 trillion of new wealth being created just on ideas alone. I have seen the birth of Google when there were 26 search engines. What did Google say? No, those search engines are good. We can build a better search engine that is not built by human beings, that can be done algorithmically. Facebook. Before Facebook, there was something called MySpace. But MySpace was the first social network. But MySpace did not make it because they opened it too quickly to anyone and everyone to create an account. Whereas Facebook kept Facebook clean. They grew out of universities. You had to have a .edu account to get a Facebook account. And from Facebook, then Instagram. What was Instagram? Simple idea. An idea which is, all of us take photographs. And can we put a filter on the photograph to make the photograph look different? Make it white, black and white. Enhance the color. Do some things. Simple idea. Within the first 6 months, they had 1 million plus, 4 or 5 million users, and they sold for $1 billion. WhatsApp. I had a company that was a competitor to WhatsApp that was growing faster than WhatsApp. We would have been WhatsApp. TRAI in India shut us down. Oh, you are violating some rule somewhere. And we were not really violating anything. They were accusing us of spamming our customers. We were like, it's a person-to-person message. But that is the problem over here. The thinking is, let's enforce the rules and shut people down, even before asking what they're doing. That's not how you can make progress. You have to allow children, our people, future generations, to break the rules, to think outside of the box. One step is, as Mr. Shahid Siddiqui said, asking questions. The second step is doing something and encouraging them to do something, encouraging them to break the rules. Here we grow in a society where rules are enforced and told, you will follow the rules, you cannot make progress. You cannot have a Silicon Valley of $40 trillion, but if you keep saying you have to stick by the rules, there is no out-of-box thinking that is encouraged. So first step is encouraging out-of-box thinking, and I'll get to what we are doing to encourage that, obviously, and to even help people think creatively. And I call it critical thinking, and I'll describe that when we describe what ShowReel is doing. But these are the kind of things. Over there, no idea is a bad idea. Every idea is encouraged. Kids are taught to think independently. My kids are going to school now. At 7 and 8, they've learned how to build a rocket, and they've actually built a simulated rocket that they've sent. Of course, it's made with gunpowder and stuff. It's the old rocket. They have made a car which participated in something called the Pine Derby. Even I was shocked. My son one day comes to me and gives me a block of wood and says, "Dad, I got to make a car out of this." And I'm like, "I've studied all this engineering. I don't know how to make a car out of a block of wood." And then I had to go online on YouTube and figure out, and I'm like, what they are encouraging children to do is make a streamlined car that has the least amount of resistance, the lowest center of gravity, so that it can participate. They are building their instincts from very early on. We are stuck to an education that is outdated.
Absolutely.
Studying something over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of lunacy by Albert Einstein. That's what we are trying to do. We are telling people to study this, memorize this, memorize the Quran, memorize the Gita. Useless. It is useless in this day and age. We have to encourage them to read books, understand what they are doing, think creatively, and do something with that education. And that is not just because I'm telling you, AI is taking over all mundane, repetitive jobs. Now, what is the challenge for a country like India? Phenomenal potential. 1.4 billion smart people. We go to a different country to become successful because the system there allows us. Why can we not create that system here? We can only if we allow, not everyone can be an entrepreneur, but we allow the creative individuals, the dreamers, to think outside of the box, to go and experiment with their ideas, to create something new. And I am very happy that I got associated with these two young people over here, Tausif and Hamad, young creative individuals who just are pursuing their passion. And they have opened a new door for me. I came from the old school of thinking, wherein I thought issuing press releases and having articles written, PR was the way to do the marketing. That was the way to do marketing during my time when I did Hotmail. It's over. It's passé. Today it's all on social media. On April 5th, I had only 214 followers. Thanks to these two young gentlemen, I have 235,000 followers today. And that page has been viewed 30 million times. Don't clap. You've got to clap for them. But the idea is we have to adapt to this new changing world quickly. And our educators are great, but they cannot adapt quickly enough. So, and when I see the difference between, the kind of education my kids are getting, that I got when I was at Caltech and Stanford, and what is absent over here, I find there's only one thing that's absent. It's the ability to think critically, to question everything, and to think outside of the box. I was lucky when I went to school over here. I used to raise my hand and ask questions. And so many times teachers have told me, just keep your hand down. Just follow the notes that I'm writing down because that's what will help you pass an exam. Luckily, I didn't want to pass an exam. I wanted to learn. But today, 99% of all the kids want to just pass an exam, get a degree, get a job, and that's it. Let their brain rot. That's not the future. We have to encourage artists, people who have imagination. because the future belongs to people who can imagine a world that doesn't even exist today. And because mundane jobs that you and I went to school for are going to be obsolete already. And by the way, the obsolescence will come even faster. Even 20 years ago, when I went to Stanford, I took a course called Digital Theory, and in which we studied how to optimize gates. And this thick of a book. I learned how to do it using finite state machines. My first job at Apple, somebody said, "Why do you learn how to optimize gates? A computer program does it for us. And by the way, gates are free." So there is a huge disconnect between theory and what is actually going on in practice. And India can leapfrog because India has that human potential. We are failing to tap it because we don't know what this IP-based economy is. 99% of us are still based on land. China is taking our land, so is not taking our land. We have to go. Land is obsolete. Land is meaningless. Today, Silicon Valley is not built on land. It's built on ideas. $40–50 trillion. We can recreate that Silicon Valley in India if only we put our minds to it. So, of course, for me to change the entire education system, I won't be able to do it, before I die. Let's be honest. So I said, what's the next best way to impart a modern education to people? I thought about it, and thanks to a few things that are happening in the world today. One is the advent of AI. Two is short-form videos. Ask any of the kids today. They don't have time for a 50-minute lecture, 1-hour lecture. They can only watch 2 minutes of video and that's it. You tell them what you have to say in 2 minutes, and otherwise you've lost them. So what I did is I used artificial intelligence in a subject that I understand, entrepreneurship, and I took a 1-hour video and I condensed it to 1.5 to 2 minutes in length only. So the first course that I've created on the ShowReel app, consists of 23 videos. Each of them is just 1.5 to 2 minutes long. And that gives a learner just the basics of what entrepreneurship is. Then I expect them to go on a journey of learning on their own. Just like I taught myself this modern AI in the last 3 or 4 years, I encourage them to use all the tools at their disposal, whether it is ChatGPT or it is YouTube, Google, whatever, friends, family, ask their parents, and then I ask them 30 critical questions and expect them to answer these critical questions in the form of a verbal interview. And the responses are then taken and fed through an AI and graded. I think that is what is required. If every kid, no matter, irrespective of their economic strata, downloads this app of ours, ShowReel app, takes this quiz and passes it, not just will we give them a certificate, I'm also working on seeing how we can identify the smart ones, give them jobs, and of course that'll come a little later. It takes a little longer to do that. But we've even partnered with Jamia to give them 6 units of credit so they can start their journeys of earning credits and earning a degree from a central government recognized university. So that is the essence of what ShowReel app is, and I've done it for 3 courses now. So please encourage, and we will talk to AEEDU about how we can partner and encourage all the kids in the entire ecosystem to download this, because they will be better off. It encourages them to think critically. These are the kids that will define their own future. Just as the general said, that we need to teach them to take control of their own lives, this course will help them, or at least is a first step towards achieving that goal. I will also talk about, what AI is doing. You have already read in the news today, 8,000 of IITians were not placed with their job placement. That's because all these companies are looking at AI and saying we don't need as many workers. So what does that leave us? We have a population of about 200 million people who are unemployed. All these people, if they start using their brains to solving local problems and leveraging technology to do this, will be the start of our creation of a Silicon Valley within India. A valley which is based on human ideas, not on land, not on buildings, not on physical objects, but really an explosion of interesting ideas. And I'm already, delighted that at least the young people have got it right. They are spending time, many of them are wasting time on social media, but a lot of them are also learning and seeing how they can, change the ecosystem. The last thing I will say is, in order for anyone to succeed in the field of technology, India cannot adopt a strategy that we have already arrived. We are already there. We are a superpower. We are not a superpower. We have a whole bunch of people who do body shopping. All these companies that are that we call software companies are not software companies. They're just hiring people at $40 an hour and selling their services at $80, $90 or $100 an hour. That is body shopping. That is not software. Software is creating ideas, using technology to solve real-world problems. But we are there. I mean, if we just encourage the next generation to think outside of the box, I think we can leapfrog the whole world, just like we leapfrog the whole world with the mobile revolution. And today, all that is required for people to, for example, access this course, access my way of thinking, a point of view, and educating themselves is a smartphone and internet connectivity. And I will not talk about some of the areas that I'm working on in augmented reality and virtual reality, which will completely obliterate the social networks of today. I mean, this is future stuff that I'm working on, and but it takes 20 years to develop some technology of this kind. A lot of our kids, of course, they want to make it quickly. There is no get-rich-quick scheme on the internet. You've got to pay your dues, you've got to think critically, and in 10, 15, 20 years, these companies will become great. But we, as a society, we have to support these geniuses within us. First, identify them and then support them, because these are the ones that will really transform our country and take it forward. And lastly, I said I had a suggestion for AEEDU. I think the use of the word underprivileged is offensive to me. I would not say anybody's underprivileged. They have been given a great gift of life, by God, great mind, wonderful hands. Encourage them to think that they're not underprivileged, that they can do anything. The first step for a remedial program of an alcoholic is admission that he's an alcoholic. But if you're telling somebody you're underprivileged, you're already classifying them at a lower level of, we have to change our thinking. We're all equal. And they have been given the same intellect that any one of us, just not the same opportunities. So please change the word underprivileged and maybe replace it with the gifted. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sabeer. Now we come to the most important part of the whole program, question answers. Because we started with the idea that we must ask questions. और मैं आपसे कहूँगा कि आप सवाल पूछिए, परवाह मत कीजिए, अंग्रेजी में पूछने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, हिंदुस्तानी में पूछिए, जिस तरह से पूछना चाहे पूछिए. कोई अगर आपको घबराहट है, परेशानी है, तो भी हाथ खड़ा कर दीजिए और उठ के खड़े होके सवाल पूछिए. सवाल पूछने से मत घबराइए, ये बुनियाद है आगे बढ़ने की. तो ये मैं चाहूँगा कि आप लोग सवाल पूछें और सबीर से कहें. Just a point that this word underprivileged does not signify any, we are saying some people have privileges, others don't have. Some have, in our society, it's a very divided society where you have the caste privilege, you have urban privilege, you have money privilege, you have privilege of education, then you have digital divide, but others don't have. And those who do not have the privileges but have all the capabilities, have all the, genius in them, we want them to have the same privileges and come up. So that is the idea, but I think there's a good suggestion if we can change, but otherwise the idea is not looking down on anybody, but the idea is that those who do not have the, are not in the circumstances or in the environment where they can use their potential to their best should be given that, and that's what AEEDU is trying to do. So, सवाल जो पूछना चाहें हाथ खड़ा कर लीजिए तो मैं जी आप नाम बताइएगा अपना और सवाल जरा जोर से पूछिएगा ताकि माइक नहीं है जी माइक है जी जी
जी मेरा नाम अजहर जई है और actually it has been established here as we have been listening that a particular information or stuff is not bad, rather its implementation and use is bad. Therefore, I also endorse the idea. So I can say neither biryani nor khichdi is bad. Its use is bad. Hello? 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 Yeah. Are you listening to me? So from that point of view, I endorse the idea that neither khichdi nor biryani is bad. Its implementation is bad. Okay, my question yesterday actually was a very important day for all of us. It was election day. And we have been calling India as Digital India. We have been calling India Digital India. We are promoting, we are doing everything for that. Yesterday, when we went for casting our vote, the people over there who were associated with the government, and they are supposed to know about Digital India also, they were asking us to produce voter ID or any other card. So somebody said that we are in Digital India, and you people who are associated with the government, you are supposed to know about Digital India also, you are asking about these things. So I think that only slogans are not important, rather we have to do things practically. And AEEDU can do many things, of course, but the things which yesterday was discussed, it has to be handled on a large level. So how we can handle such problems? Thank you.
Good idea, because in fact we are discussing this issue in the country today कि vote जो है वो physical होना चाहिए, what happens in United States or UK, or should we have this digital vote, whether it's proper or not, this question is very much there. But anyway, in fact I want Sabeer to tell us more about ShowReel, how these young people can join ShowReel, what they are going to learn in the ShowReel, what they are going to gain by joining ShowReel, and how it will help them, move ahead in becoming entrepreneurs in various fields.
So, yeah, first, ShowReel is an app that has short-form videos to help entrepreneurs understand the basics of entrepreneurship. And then, we expect them to think about critical questions on entrepreneurship and to encourage critical thinking in different areas that hold the most promise for entrepreneurs. We've also created a series called B Cubed that is being broadcast on Doordarshan and it's on YouTube. If you watch any one of the episodes in different areas, you may just have an idea. It may spark an idea in that area. We are encouraging first principles thinking. For example, we had one episode on electric vehicles. I kind of tried to teach people, because I've had dinner with Elon Musk, what Elon Musk was thinking. How did he come up with the idea for an electric vehicle? And how electric vehicles have become a revolution. I mean, those are the kind we need to encourage children to think from first principles. Not study and regurgitate, that's useless. Study from original. Okay, I have an idea. How can I solve that problem? Can I use technology to solve it? Technology is subservient to human ideas and thought. not the other way around. Over here, we are told people study this. For example, when I was at Bhabha Atomic Research Center, I wanted to use a personal computer. My supervisor gave me this thick of a book on DOS and said, "Pehle ye padho." And I was studying all the instructions and I couldn't understand the instructions hai, ye kaise karte hain, DOS, kaise kaam karta hai. 3 months went by and I didn't know how to use a personal computer. I go to Caltech and I say, I want to learn how to use a computer. And the office, student office says, here, take a workstation. We'll send it to your dorm room. They gave me a $25,000 workstation in my dorm room, and then I learned on my own, playing around. I became an expert at Unix. See, the difference is encourage people, encourage. Don't put them down ki tumko aata nahi hai, hum tumko sikhayenge. You know, it's a simple way of thinking, but the outcome is astronomical. My kids have broken 3 TVs. I haven't scolded them.
Absolutely.
I said, you learn something from it. Why did you break it? I want to open it. Every toy they get, they break, open, and see how the toy works. I encourage them. Doesn't matter. It's only a toy. Learning is more important. You know, we put economic things ahead of learning. Everything. And I mean, we are so risk averse. My parents were like, oh, you're doing business, you've got such a good job at Apple, at Firepower, why are you doing this business? Business hamare DNA mein nahi hai. I said, it's not business. It's a new idea, I want to change the world. And so, you know, we have to encourage people because that's the only way out of our unemployment problem.
Right.
No amount of manufacturing will solve the unemployment problem because the modern manufacturing unit, like a Tesla factory, employs only 350 people. Even if we get the world's manufacturing, we won't be able to get more than 50,000 jobs to this country. But entrepreneurship and IP creation, ideas, encouraging them, we can recreate Silicon Valley.
Absolutely.
Why not?
Yeah, please.
My question from Mr. Bhatia is like, okay, you are talking about the storytelling and everything. How they will be encouraged to get empowered after that? Because, okay, they understand, they get the entrepreneurship from the day one and they think of something building. But how they are going to be encouraged by financially and giving them that platform?
So, okay, first step is education. I'm also working on a multi-billion-dollar fund to fund interesting ideas. It's in the works, it'll take time, but let's begin with at least critical thinking.
How they will be connected to you? Like, okay.
Through the app itself, through the app.
I'll tell you.
And we will develop
You
an
were
ecosystem.
talking something about the test, like you are going to have the test and whoever pass 30 questions, they will be called off. So how they will be going to reach that questions page?
You just download the app.
Okay.
Watch the videos. If you watch more than 75% of the videos, you can take the test. Okay. But the test requires you to think critically, think outside of the box. You answer those, we give you a certificate of completion. And I'm not saying that that is valid today, but very soon that will be. I'm predicting the future even before it's occurred. And I'm saying the way the world is moving ahead, that certificate will be very valuable in the job market. Because if you can think critically, you can do any job on the planet.
Can anybody join ShowReel?
Anybody.
Does it have to have a certain degree?
Even uneducated people can download.
Any one of you can download ShowReel.
Every one of the madrasa students can download ShowReel.
Download it, go through it, and then Javed Saab has, devised, he is anchoring another program. It's called B-Cube. That also is available on YouTube. You can watch this, you will learn a lot, and you can learn to be entrepreneurs. You can learn to solve problems around you because ultimately you are not going to get jobs. You are going to find solutions to problems are in your gully, in your mohalla. कोई सड़क पे जो फल बेचने वाले हैं उनके प्रॉब्लम आप सॉल्व कर लोगे, कोई जो बढ़ई का काम करने वाला है उसके प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करके आप एक ऐप बना सकोगे और उसकी मदद से आप खुद भी एंटरप्रेन्योर बनोगे और हजारों की मदद भी आप कर पाओगे. So that's where you are going to use technology, and that's where Sabeer is trying to involve thousands and thousands and thousands of you. You are going to get lots of jobs, not in IT, not so many in IT anymore. And let's face the reality that any technology creates a new opportunity, also it closes many doors. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप टेक्नोलॉजी को अपनाएं नहीं. टेक्नोलॉजी, you have to move with technology in order to survive, in order to move ahead, but at the same time you have to learn to use technology for your benefit and not just to make money, but to benefit the society. Unless technology is benefiting the society, you are not going to be successful with any technology whatsoever. Technology ultimately has to benefit us, all of us, a society, and that's where I want young people to open their minds and to think out of box and to think that they can all become entrepreneurs, they can all start something new. देखिए चारों तरफ, नजर डालिए, आंख खोलिए, क्वेश्चन सवाल कीजिए, बहस कीजिए, झगड़ा कीजिए और सोचिए कि ये क्यों हो रहा है. ये गंदगी जो है, इसकी सफाई कैसे हो सकती है. जो हमारी मस्जिद है, इसको हम कैसे बेहतर बना सकते हैं. ये जो स्पेस है मस्जिद की, इसका यूटिलाइजेशन नमाज के अलावा खाली रहती है, उसका यूटिलाइजेशन हम कहाँ कर सकते हैं, कैसे कर सकते हैं कि मस्जिद को भी फ़ायदा हो जाए, सब समाज को भी हो जाए, हमको भी हो जाए. सो देयर आर सो मेनी थिंग्स यू कैन डू. सो दैट्स वेयर आई वांट यू टू रियली गो एंड डाउनलोड ShowReel and to tell as many people, and especially the teachers who are present here, because it's the teachers who are going to play the most important, most crucial role, not in teaching, but in making these young people inquire and find new ways to use technology. पहले तो आप अपना दिमाग खोलिए, क्योंकि teachers हमारे, unfortunately, I have seen with my teachers, we resist new technology. हम कहते नहीं बेकार है, इससे नुकसान होने वाला है. ये जब when the computers came, I know I was as the chairman of National Council for Promotion of Urdu Language, we had more than 100 kitabat centers, khattati centers. I said I am going to close down these kitabat centers and I am going to start computer training centers. Everybody said, what are you doing? Don't you understand? Urdu is recognized by its khattati, by its calligraphy, not by the technology, not by computers. Urdu is the most beautiful language. It's written so beautifully, etc., etc. But I said, no, I will close down the kitabat centers and I'll open computer training centers for Urdu knowing people. And we developed a software with the help of InPage. And today, if you are able to do so much, and there was so much opposition, there were articles against me in newspapers. A dharna was held outside my house कि मैं उर्दू का दुश्मन हूँ, मैं उर्दू की खत्ताती किताबत, उसकी पहचान को छीन रहा हूँ. लेकिन मैंने कहा नहीं, a language will die if it does not move with technology. A nation dies if it does not move with technology. So as a nation, as a people, you have to frog jump. खास तौर पे जो हमारे using the word, मैं वो word Muslim use नहीं करना चाहता, इसलिए underprivileged हम use करते हैं. That is also one reason that we use this underprivileged word. कि जो वहाँ से आ रहे हैं, वहाँ पे ये एक आदत है हमारी कि हम resist करते हैं change को. और लेकिन हमें अगर मुकाबला करना है तो हम ये नहीं करेंगे कि where you have reached 20 years back, we will try to reach now. No, we will try to reach where we are going to reach in next 10 years. We will start from where you are going to reach in 10 years. Society जहाँ education में 10 साल बाद पहुँचेगी, वहाँ से आपको शुरू करना है. ये आपकी जिम्मेदारी है. Frog jump आपको करना है नई टेक्नोलॉजी. और वहीं मुझे I saw the hope in Sabeer Bhatia, in Javed Yunus, and in this new technology. And that's why I want this to come to you through AEEDU, through Jamia, through other institutions, through other schools, wherever we can. Because that is the passion I have, to bring this technology to everyone who does not have the privilege and the ability to study in the institutions where Sabeer could study and some of us could study. मैं भी फतेहपुरी स्कूल में पढ़ा हूँ, मदरसे में पढ़ा हूँ, एंग्लो अरबिक स्कूल में पढ़ा हूँ, हिंदी उर्दू मीडियम से पढ़ा हूँ और वहाँ से निकल के आया हूँ. बट I had this ability to ask questions. My father, who was a Maulana, taught me, सवाल पूछो, हर चीज़ से पूछो. जब कुरान शरीफ पढ़ो तो सवाल पूछो. ये नहीं कि नहीं, कोई सवाल नहीं पूछना, एकदम दिमाग बंद, नहीं. आप दीन की खिदमत नहीं करते अगर आप सवाल नहीं पूछते हैं, और सवाल पूछते हैं तो जवाब मिलते हैं, और उसी कुरान करीम में से आपको जवाब मिलते हैं, उन्हीं अहदीस में से जवाब मिलते हैं. So that is what, you know, we have to do.
If I may add two more things. One is help each other.
Yeah.
The greatness of US society is everybody helps each other.
Yes.
You know, when somebody comes to you with a problem, oh, go ahead, encourage people to do new things. When I was leaving my job and starting Hotmail, every one of my fellow workers encouraged me. They didn't look down upon me. They didn't have any ounce of jealousy. Go do it. I hope you succeed. Just those words, I hope you succeed. That's one. And the second is, you know, we are creating this fantastic series called B Cubed. If one thing, show it to all the madrasas. Yes. It's an inspirational series.
ये तो आपके फोन पे अवेलेबल है, कोई भी YouTube पे जाइए देख लीजिए जी. आप यस पीछे पीछे सबसे लास्ट
सिद्दीकी साहब
वालों को बी क्यूब.
सिद्दीकी साहब एक सवाल मेरा भी है, if you allow.
I'll send you on the WhatsApp.
Mr. Bhatia, if I'm allowed to ask you a question, sir, this
Yeah,
side.
sure, please.
Yeah,
Sure.
my compliments for your comprehensive presentation, first of all. I have been watching your videos for quite some time now.
Thank you.
And my compliment goes to you, Javed Saab, as well, for hosting them so very well. And off the record, I'll ask you about the painting that I could see at the background of your one of the videos, and that was really beautiful. So one, I would request Javed Saab to enhance our understanding on B Cubed, one, because you have been doing it very well. Mr. Bhatia, sir, I myself am an entrepreneur, and while you have been encouraging entrepreneurship in India, I am all for it. But as an individual also, I find being an entrepreneur for last about 25 years, I find a few difficulties in growing forward and helping my team to grow. So do you have some plans for the entrepreneurs as well, while you are encouraging the new entrepreneurs? One. Quick comments upon NVIDIA. We have seen growing it in leaps and bounds. So you being a technocrat, NVIDIA, with reference to India and the kind of opportunities it is providing. We were talking about coding, and NVIDIA CEO says there's no need to learn coding anymore. I am not a technocrat, but yes, of course, I understand that all those will have a deep implication on in the next 5 years as well as India is concerned. About the negotiation part, you have mentioned in details about the negotiation skills as well. So while the youngsters, when they come into the job market, one of the basic questions that they encounter is the communication skills, and in 2, 3, 5, 4 years of their career, the negotiations part as well. So as you mentioned in one of your videos, and you highlighted little about it in your presentation today, while you are thinking on the new spheres of education, new topics, would you be including them in the upcoming times?
Like I said, it's hard to teach negotiation, but there are some critical questions, thinking questions that I encourage. Because the very fact that people have to respond through a verbal interview means that it tests 2 or 3 skills of theirs. One is their presentation skills, which is also judged by an AI, not by us, not by any human. So that's one thing. Second is the purest form of understanding a subject is being able to describe it in your own words. Right. And that's what we test. So it eliminates any kind of cheating, copying from ChatGPT, because you're like, if you've understood this subject, you should be able to speak about it. Tell us what you think about it. So that's the beauty of the critical thinking questions. About entrepreneurship, yes, I am working to put together a sovereign wealth, to put together an investment fund to fund entrepreneurs and crazy ideas in deep tech, in anything that's problem solving for India. And you know, it'll take a few months. We're working on it, Javed, myself, and another colleague of ours. And I think in the next 3 to 6 months, you will see a big quantum of investment. And that will, the purpose of this fund is not just to make money, like 99% of PE funds over here. It's really to fund great ideas and encourage entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. जी, आप बहुत सारे लोगों के सवाल हैं. You can later on discuss
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm a new HOS in Fatehpuri Muslim Senior Secondary School in Old Delhi. When we are talking about the critical thinking and cognitive thinking, the poverty is the main hindrance in its path. Poverty. Because the students have to do work for their butter and bread. Under such situation, how can we encourage them for a critical thinking? Because if they are earning something for their bread and butter, how can they think? So what's a solution from your side as far as these people are concerned?
It's a very good question.
Thank you.
I try to put myself in people's shoes. I work, as Javed will tell you, 24/7. I go for a walk in the morning. I cook dinner. I make the bed. I drop my kids to school. It doesn't prevent me from letting my mind run wild and imagine things. In fact, it is a great stimulant. So they may be working, doing physical things, but their mind can always be active and they can keep a dream alive, whatever that dream is. But we have to encourage them to imagine a future. So physical work has nothing to do with, keeping your mind. I mean, I often have this argument with my wife. She's like, where are you? You're in a different world. Because I don't shut my brain off. I let crazy ideas just keep coming. And that's why I wasn't ever cut out to do a 9-to-5 job. And I'm very lucky that I was allowed to dream and to experiment. And a lot of ideas have failed too. But failure is part of the whole process. So don't see your personal situation, any personal situation or poverty as a hindrance. First thing is remove that from your mind. You can do it. You have been blessed with the same brain as Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or Sabeer Bhatia. It doesn't matter. It's just you have to believe in yourself and you have to constantly learn. Today, I taught myself this new form of AI. Where from? Same sources that you have access to. YouTube, Coursera, Microsoft online courses. I wasn't afraid. I used to wake up at 4 in the morning just to study so that, the kids wouldn't disturb me. Now you could say, why do you need to study? You've got all the money in the world. But no, it's the hunger to learn. That hunger has to be kept alive. And that has nothing to do with your personal situation.
No, it's actually, I understand what you're talking about. You're talking about abject poverty, right? A little boy who's begging on the streets, how does he think critically? That's what you're talking about, right? Okay. Yeah. So, your observation is very correct. Now, the thing is that there is a culture of thinking and critical thinking that we are talking about that has to percolate down. It has to be seen as a very rewarding, pursuit. So it'll percolate down to the beggar on the street also. That's the point. Yes, for whole society.
We have to change the way we think. जो privileged हैं, those who have got all the resources, do they think critically? No, they don't. Because they are taught not to at their home, as I said in the beginning, in the schools, everywhere. So it's, in fact, my experience is that some of these young people who work on the streets, who are working to earn their living, they learn much more. They have much more critical thinking. वो सवाल पूछ रहे होते हैं. They are finding solutions to problems. I have worked on the streets, and some of my friend Javed Akram is here, and some of our friends are here, who worked on the streets. कोई प्लास्टिक के जूते बनाता था, कोई कुछ करता था. We used to earn from that. But earning and working, that's where we got new ideas, and that's where we became more creative. Those who are not earning their living or for their family, they are less critical. Those who are working to earn, they have more ideas and can be much more open than some of us who have the privileges of good life. Young people want to ask questions. Please.
शाहिद साहब इस सवाल के दो पहलू थे, अगर 2 मिनट हो
जी, जी, please.
साहब
जी.
ओपिनियन उस पर, सॉरी मैं आपके बीच में आ गया, एक सेकंड. असमें इस सवाल के दो पहलू हैं. एक पहलू तो अगर आप ये कहना चाहते हैं कि गरीबी लोगों को सोचने से रोकती है, तो उसका जवाब मेरा ख्याल सबीर साहब ने दे दिया कि ऐसा नहीं है, बल्कि ये भी हो सकता है कि वो बच्चे जो हैं कुछ नए तरह के मसाइल से जूझ रहे हों और शायद उस तरह के मसाइल पर वो अपनी क्रिएटिव वे में उनका सलूशन ढूंढ रहे हों. तो मेरा ख्याल ये मुमकिन है और ये जवाब आपने दिया. एक दूसरा पहलू है, मेरी वाइफ स्कूल में पढ़ाती हैं, जामिया स्कूल में पढ़ाती हैं, और जब पैंडमिक में ये स्कूल सारे ऑनलाइन चले गए तो टाइम टेबल बनाना एक इशू हो गया कि मालूम हुआ घर में 2 बच्चे हैं लेकिन मोबाइल बीवी है और मोबाइल एक है. तो अब मालूम ये हुआ कि टाइम टेबल इस तरह से बनाइए आप कि साहब जब एक बच्चा अटेंड कर रहा हो क्लास तो दूसरा वाला मतलब उसका क्लास ना हो. इसका मतलब ये कि एक डिजिटल डिवाइड एग्जिस्ट कर रहा है. जैसे मैंने अभी जब आप बोल रहे थे तो मैंने आपका ऐप डाउनलोड कर लिया. बहुत सिंपल सा ऐप है, आप सब लोग डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं, लेकिन तभी मैंने सोचा इनके सवाल के बाद कि एक स्मार्टफोन होना ज़रूरी है, चाहे वो मैक हो या मतलब दूसरा हो. तो मेरा ख्याल शुरुआत उन लोगों से की जाए जिनके पास के इस तरह की डिवाइसेस मौजूद हैं, लेकिन साथ में कुछ कोशिश ये भी हो कि जो लोग इन डिवाइसेस से महरूम हैं उन तक हम डिवाइसेस पहुंचाने का काम भी कैसे करें. तो इस सवाल का जो दूसरा पहलू है वो ये
लॉन्ग रन में जरूर करेंगे. जी आप यंग मैन.
To answer that question is, I'm not saying this is a universal solution to all of world's problems.
Yes.
You can solve all, but if you can get 90+% to say, I'm trying to teach you how to think differently, and I thankfully can do that through an app. As a start, why not educate 700, 800 million people through this? As a start, let's at least have, and I'm here to encourage you too. And one with my way of thinking, which is, I think, what has brought me here. I was born into a humble, service family, not on the streets, but both my parents were government servants. They couldn't afford to send me to Caltech. I got a scholarship, but I got a scholarship only for the first year. And I had to maintain a 4.0 GPA in the toughest school in the world in order for my scholarship to continue every year for the next 2 years. And I was working 3 jobs when I did that. On campus, but I was a waiter, I worked in the library, and I worked in times that no other student wanted to take. At like Friday evening, Sunday evening, waiting at lunchtime. That's fine. It's part of the experience.
Absolutely.
Don't ever feel sorry for yourself. The first step is God has given you a wonderful mind, physical ability that so many people don't have. Get out of that feeling sorry for yourself. I know India is a tough country. US is a lot easier. But attitude wins is 90% of the battle.
Yes.
The young man there. Yeah.
Good afternoon to all. First of all, my name is Shadab Ali. And first of all, I would... Crescent School, Mojpur. Class 10th. First of all, I would like to thank all the respected figures sitting in front of us and giving their precious time to us. My question in today's program, I have got so many questions from all the speeches you have given. And my first question is a major topic which all you have discussed about ChatGPT and all the AI generated things. I would like to say that in today's year, I'm in 10th class and all the youngsters are using mobile phones and all the artificial intelligence I would like to say that they are using that for all their homeworks and all their works which they have to do with their minds, and I think so that it is destroying the creativity of our minds. And in today's program, I'm like disappointed because you all have pursued the topic of ChatGPT, that it is very good in today's time, but I think so that it is just destroying the creativity of the youngsters' mind. They are not using their mind, they're not using their creativity on the topic which the schools has given to them. They're not using their practice, they're not practicing anything. So I would like to say that ChatGPT, I think so that it is destroying the children's creativity. So I would like to ask that.
We understand.
I can answer that. No.
Yeah, please.
First of all, it is a point of view. I respect your point of view. It's just that the teachers are not asking the right questions. If you download the ShowReel app, try answering the 30 questions. Go and check it on ChatGPT. I don't care if you learn from ChatGPT. Understand it, internalize it, then verbalize it in an interview. That is learning. So don't criticize something because you are being condescending to other people, to your friends. Do you know what knowledge is? Do you know what learning is? I'm not saying I know. All I'm saying is ChatGPT's existence is inevitable. It's here. We cannot change it. It rests on your teachers to now change the way they ask the questions and the kind of questions they ask, which should encourage you to use ChatGPT. Then try and answer those. Those are critical questions.
Sir, the teachers are giving the questions according to what they are teaching in their schools. That something like they have teacher topping the school and they are giving the topic.
That's why the education system also needs to change.
You use your spirit of inquiry to use ChatGPT.
लेकिन किसी भी टेक्नोलॉजी के प्लस माइनस जैसा कि मैंने कहा था होते हैं. चैट जीपीटी के देयर आर मेनी थ्रेट्स, मेनी negative points of chat GPT, but if we ask the right kind of questions, then you have to use your mind. You have to, and in the very beginning I said you have to learn to see what you have to leave out, not just what you have to take from chat GPT or from internet. There's an avalanche of information, what you have to take and what you have to leave out. That is the most important thing, and that's what your teachers, that's what your knowledge is going to teach you. Please.
I have a question for Mr. Bhatia. So what is more difficult, going from 0 to 400 million or taking 400 million to a billion?
Once again, you're asking me a financial question.
I want questions from children.
My purpose of life is not a financial number.
माइक ऐसे मत दिया कीजिए, अपने पास रखा कीजिए, अब वो बच्चे को दीजिए पीछे. देख पीछे.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, my name is Mohammad Faiz. I am from Christian School, Daryaganj.
Okay.
My question is, how is the modern education is accessible to the madrasas and gurukuls, to the students who studied there? As I memorize the Quran and I want to study in a school, I face some difficulties to learn this modern education. So how could this is accessible to the in madrasas itself?
Okay. आप जवाब देना चाहेंगे इसका? हाँ? ये?
नहीं आप
नहीं मैं
I think
नहीं, आपका सवाल ये है कि मदरसे में जो पढ़ने वाला है वो जब आता है इस नॉलेज के बारे में उसे प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं. बट आवर एक्सपीरियंस, वी वेंट टू शाहीन in south, we went to Hyderabad, and in fact General Saab had opened a school in Muzaffarnagar, where these Hafiz-e-Quran are coming who have never ever seen a computer, never worked on it, and within a year they are doing such excellent work that some of them are proving to be better than any other students. In fact, in Hyderabad, some of these students who studied in क्या था मस्जिद का नाम, मस्जिद in Hyderabad, they have this residential place for these madrasa hafiz Hafiz al-Quran, four of them were the toppers in whole of Telangana. 4 toppers came from this madrasa. Similarly, what Shaheen group is doing, these madrasa educated boys and girls, they are doing excellent work. So don't think that if you have studied in madrasa, you are inferior to anybody. You can learn, but the only thing is learn to ask and open up. क्लोज मत कीजिए, दरवाजे मत बंद कीजिए, दरवाजे खोल दीजिए, खिड़कियां खोल दीजिए, आपके पास आएगी इंफॉर्मेशन और आप देंगे दूसरों को. प्लीज आप जी जी जी.
He has invited me. I am professor in physics at Delhi University. And we also realized the same thing, that universities are basically doing the rote learning. So we recently opened up a Section 8 company, Udmodde, where we are basically trying to encourage students from everywhere to give their ideas, and we are supporting them financially. So my question is very different to Sabeer ji, that how we can connect with you and take leverage from what you are doing for our Udmodde, so that we can take it to the next step.
Fantastic. Please get in touch with Mr. Javed Yunus. He is handling all India operations, and he will, obviously we will discuss that and figure out. We would love to partner with Delhi University.
Good afternoon.
Introduce kara dijiye.
My name is Javed Umar from Crescent School. I am a science teacher. My question is to Mr. Kavita ma'am. As you said, ma'am, as you said that we are just using the chalk and talk methods, so they are worst. So my point of view is that, as we know that according to the psychological point of view, the development of children is continuous, and children learns from society, family, and then for their socialization, we have to give time in a different parts of the social groups, such as classrooms, families, sports, others. And if we are not providing the environment, how the student will learn? I want to know some points of you.
Yeah, please. Mic वापस दे दिया कीजिए. आप अपने पास रखिए अपने हाथ में. जी, you want to? I didn't get it. ये आखिरी सवाल है, because हमें मैम
young lady at the back.
हाँ, वही मैं कर रहा हूँ. Lady at the back. Lady at the back.
Should I ask?
But,
So I'm an 11th grader.
yeah.
My question is that, like, as students, we can only give out ideas, but उसको support करने के लिए we lack resources, तो वो ideas वैसे के वैसे ही रह जाते हैं. They aren't implemented as such, and somehow the dream dies. So what can we do about it? We lack physical resources. For example, my field of interest is astronomy, and उसके लिए research करने के लिए, to move forward in that field, it requires a lot of resources. But we don't have that, and so we can't implement it. So the idea is just there, but it doesn't get implemented, and it doesn't, go forward with it. So how do we go about it?
Listen, yeah, obviously, like I said, this will not solve the whole world's problems, but in astronomy, do whatever you can, and if the resources are not available in India, go outside. Doesn't matter. Go to Germany, go to the US, go elsewhere where there is. Caltech is the leading institution for astronomy, right? I mean, if for a particular area of interest, you have to go to the place which is the Mecca for it. This will just addresses the problems of entrepreneurship and converting your ideas in the field of intellectual property into reality. That's the limited scope of what I'm trying to do.
So, actually, you're talking about, she's talking about, I think, financial resources, right? So there has to be some resource somewhere. The idea is you have to broaden your search, You will definitely come across some opportunity which will give you what you need to pursue your goals. don't just give up, that's it.
शायद आपने मुझसे सवाल पूछा था कि आप घर का environment एक तरह का होता है, school का होता है, where they all demand obedience, right? Is that what you're trying to say? They all, that's why I said, okay, I'm one of the dissenters. नहीं मतलब वो socialization of society इसी तरह होता है ना. Basically सवाल क्या है? No, so they will not, see, you can't change society. You can't say that I will not learn or I will not ask a question or I will not get an idea till my whole society changes. My parents change, my school change, so you can't do that, no? So as Sabeer said, nothing prevents your mind from thinking.
चलिए बहुत सवाल हमेशा रहेंगे, बहुत सारे सवाल हैं, but we have to wind up now. Thank you very much.
And you need to defy. And that's why I said कि गुरु शिष्य परंपरा, I am the biggest dissenter.
And society
कि
will
भैया
change.
आपको defy करने की भी ताकत होनी चाहिए ना.
It won't happen in a day's time. Please, we have to wind. अच्छा, please, last question. जी, जी.
I am Arif Ali from Jamia Millia Islamia. I have an observation, sir. Particularly, I would like to address Sabeer Bhatia sahab, that the opportunity and ideas come only to the prepared minds. This is what our sages have said. It comes to prepared mind.
Open minds.
You are insisting that prepare yourself, think, but it doesn't come to everyone.
Sure.
You are an exception. So, how to prepare your mind? You are suggesting...
Inquisitive mind.
Inquisitive.
Ask questions all the time.
Yes.
That's what we have been saying.
No, but you have to have some understanding, some platform where which makes you to think.
There is no one formula for everybody, so everybody has to find their own formula.
No, but we are here to say, we are suggesting a universal solution. Anyway,
no, there is no.
My point of view is that sages have said that tahrir or taqreer इंसान की कामयाबी की निशानी है. Rene Descartes in the West said that learning of arithmetic and language is essential. These are our ancient wisdom.
It's very true because both are logical.
Yes.
You know, and those are the only two subjects that I excelled in high school.
Yeah, I was in 96 when you were dealing with the Bill Gates. I was in Wisconsin, Madison. I was doing my postdoc in molecular biology. There, my children were going to schools. And today also, my granddaughter in London, schools are preparing children to read books. And they are asked questions next day. That means they are preparing those young minds to read from the book and not from the mobile or not from the Google. And here, what I gathered is that we are trying to give a mobile to every child in a school. That will not promote thinking.
We can have another discussion on that.
This is a very, very moot point, and I think to discuss your point, we need a much longer time, and this debate will carry on. So thank you very much.
We will invite you for a discussion. I do will organize a discussion on.
So good afternoon.
Yes. Now.
My name is Sharma Bhatia, and I'm a life coach and an image consultant too. So I would like to start from where you stopped speaking. You said that, we should convert the tag of underprivileged to gifted, but I feel a tag is a tag at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if we are calling them untouchable or Harijan, but still it segregates them from the society. But congratulations to those who have recognized the section which need us, and congratulations to you who are equipping them to liberate themselves from that tag. So my question is, like being a life coach and a motivational speaker, you talk about critical thinking and I talk about emotional intelligence, which is very much lacking nowadays, right? Everybody is so practical. But AI is really focusing on critical thinking. You being such a nice orator, such a nice personality who has come up, so far off, how would you retain this emotional intelligence in this particular program of yours, which I feel is something very much need of the hour?
No, the program will never teach you emotional intelligence, but that is
The need of the
required.
hour, yeah.
I have seen new products being developed at Apple, at Microsoft, at other leading tech companies. No longer is it individual, as a result of individual brilliance. Everything happens in teams. But teams encourage people to lose their egos and just discuss ideas. And from ideas and discussions come new ideas. And that's what is required to create new things, and there is immense specialization. When you see an Apple iPhone, there are 100,000 plus people working at Apple. There are groups that are responsible for just the camera, just this, just that. And how do they come up with the next better camera? No individual says, they work in groups and say, let's discuss how we can come up with a better camera, a better AI piece of software, or a better lens, or a better UI. And so we have to learn how to work together and trust each other. Yes. I think one of the biggest problems in India is lack of trust. Why is India not able to put a football team together? Because subconscious trust in each other.
Sir, I picked up from your speech when you were saying that in US people are helping each other. Yes. What we are doing here? We are uplifting each other. There is a difference because when we segregate each other, everybody from us, we uplift. And there lies the difference. And when we are helping each other, then there is an equality.
Good
so there lies the difference. Thank you.
I am very happy that everybody there are many more questions. I hope that we can again invite Sabeer for another session. He will come back after a few months because he is going back day after tomorrow. We'll invite him again and we will have your questions. Thank you very much. It was a very enlightening session for all of us. And now only 10 minutes presentation by Mahmood Akhter Sahab on AEEDU. He has prepared a presentation. We will go down and he will now make a presentation. After that, all of you are invited for lunch, which we have organized in the lawn outside. Thank you very much. एक हमारे साथी जो है वो आपको
जब तक ये परफॉर्म देंगे तब तक तो हमारा टाइम निकल जाएगा। लाइए मुझे भी दे
चलिए आइए महमूद साहब आगे आ जाए आगे आ जाइए आगे आ जाइए आगे आ जाइए Sit down there for 10 minutes. हम सर जल्दी से कर लीजिए इससे पहले कि डिस्टर्ब हो जाए सारा। आगे प्लीज कम
Sure, no problem.
Thank you, sir, for this opportunity to let me have the presentation. Sabeer Bhatia, sir, was talking about the Cinderella story. We in AEEDU have a pilgrim's progress to report in a very modest manner. And the progress has been rather slow but steady. And the three concerns which we have been focusing on in AEEDU is, as we rightly said, Shahid Saab rightly explained, underprivileged is not a negative connotation for us. But sir, we have taken your guidance. Underprivileged stands for the people who had less of opportunities in taking on the world. That is how we take it as. And the entire AEEDU is standing for a cause to give them opportunities to have better education, to develop entrepreneurial skills, and to formally guide them into a professional manner so that they can achieve their professional goals. That's what we have been doing. We have been doing it threefold. Just before I start, 3 sentences. First and foremost is to have an umbrella organization, as explained by our president, enabling authority, enabling office to take on the concerned institutions everywhere in the country, including the students, so that they can have a wider perspective. Second is to have NGOs. We have started ours with research. The research is focused on to identify and access the students who require help through whatever means we can. That is the second thing. The third most important part is capacity building of the teachers. We realize that unless a teacher is good in speaking English, or is good in maths, or is good in computers, he will not be able to deliver. So we have taken up this motto, this drive for developing capacity skills in the teachers, and we have been successfully doing it. We will just go about showing it. The last thing, sir, which we have been doing is to take on the madrasas. The madrasas are, as rightly discussed in the talk today, they are a citadel of religious nodal points, along with that memorizing the Holy Quran. So why not let the madrasa students take on the world? By following a secular education, by giving them in maths, English, and whatever. So this presentation is based on these principles, luckily. And like Maya Angelou said, let us be a rainbow in somebody's cloud. So we are trying to be that rainbow. Yes. These are the methods through which we are accessing the students, and this thing inculcating synergy and improving quality of education, empowering the underprivileged through these methods, examining problems of underprivileged, and recommending way forward. We have a host of them. And promoting vocational guidance, inculcating livelihood and entrepreneurial skills. This is, broadly speaking, what we are doing. Next one. This is the AEEDU leadership team, the founders, and some of the eminent members. Many of them are here. We are lucky to have them for guidance. Next, please. Why AEEDU? The underprivileged, in a positive way, sir. We have taken note. Have a plethora of organizations and educational institutions, an umbrella organization, necessary to inculcate synergy so that the best practices can be adopted. We are trying to adopt the best practices from various organizations. Current problems addressed and common response initiated. Then students from underprivileged communities are unaware of the scholarships and other benefits, which we are trying to provide them through portals, through whatever information we can give to them about the government skills and scholarships. And the career counseling is also very important for us. We had right now, Mr. Sabeer Bhatia, you had been one of the greatest speeches in mentorship which we had. So we will be following it up. We have been following it up. Likewise. Please, next. The focus areas are to create a common platform for member organizations and educational institutions to enable sharing and adoption of best practices. This is one of our chief mottos, sir, to ensure 100% enrollments and 0% dropouts. We are having a compendium on that. We are preparing a paper on that. We will be releasing it within a month or two. And promote livelihood and vocational skills amongst the targeted students. Empower female students. This is one of our objectives, that the female students shouldn't be left behind. The gender disparity should be eliminated, and they should be made ready to take on the world through education. Promote madrasa modernization and garner private sector partnerships. This is one thing which we are trying to do. We are still very, very far behind, but we are trying to get the corporate sector to help us. These are the milestones, sir, which we have done in a modest way. So far, we had a conference on education and nation building in Jamia Handar, which was a way forward. We had a lot of stakeholders participating. Then we had an interactive meet on converging resources to empower educational institutions and community at Bangalore. Then we had a very big national conference at Integral University, Lucknow, in April last year. Then online workshops are on, sir, on ICT tools, digital learning. You'll be happy to note this. Then interactive talk on data management based on Darpan. That is one of our chief objectives which we are following, to have a database. Then building capacities of technical counseling of students, teachers empowerment, and 4 weeks of capacity building. We had gone for a MOU with Aligarh Muslim University. So they have allowed us to go for about a year in jointly operating teachers training workshops. We just had one on artificial intelligence and machine learning, which was a huge success. About 65 students from across the country participated. They got degrees and they were quite benefited by it. Then workshop on educational digital guidance for students, including school managers, which we had last year. And then 1 week online capacity program for students. That was online programs, and that was also a huge success. Next one. These are the achievements, sir, which we have done so far. Data bank and research. I will not get back into the nitty-gritty. You can have a look, sir. But database is ready with us. We are simultaneously working not only to provide educational betterment, but also to have a database so that can serve for the future. 4 research scholars have been provided financial grants for conducting research based on AEEDU's objectives. Livelihood, or capacity building, or female education, things like that. Then 20 school madrasa teachers have been trained in collaboration with Dr. P.A. Inamdar University, Azam campus. 61 school madrasa teachers trained, 200 teachers. These are all figures, sir, but they are realistic figures, let me assure you. Then this Talimi Markaz thing, which we started, sir, we realized that many of these students, these gifted students, as we call them now, they didn't have the opportunity or the space at their house to go ahead with enhancing their teaching, their learning. So we thought of creating some places, common study centers. Professor Furqan Qamar Sahab's 10-point educational program is a torchbearer in that direction. And we are having 3 study centers in Delhi, 1 in Bihar, and 1 we have already located in Haryana. We are planning to have 20 such centers in the days to come, where they can study. Sir, then Talimi Markaz, students are beneficiaries. So far, 1,000+ students to benefit in the coming 2 years. And Talimi Markaz common study centers planned in 20 such centers have been planned. Then teaching module on entrepreneurship we have developed. We will be launching it next month from the AEEDU platform. Then 200+ students, including women, are to benefit through the self-employment schemes. That too is a part of the entrepreneurship module, which we are going to launch soon. Next, please. Then we have 150+ stakeholders who have collaborated with AEEDU's objectives in our conferences, through our interactions, whatever. 100+ eminent speakers have joined AEEDU. We had one, and a legendary one, so to say. And we had earlier also, and we will have them also in the days to come. Then 100+ students mentored in educational and vocational workshops. We are also trying to mentor the principals and managers in classes, digital classes, how to conduct digital classes, and how to administer such things. We are in touch with them, we have trained them. Then 7 eminent educationists have already been honored during the national conference at the Integral University in 2023. It has been already done, and we will do it in the future also through awards scheme or whatever we can relate to. Then we have published a souvenir of the thing. It's available with us. We can give some copies. And we are regularly bringing out newsletters on a quarterly basis. 2 of them have been already issued out. They contain the details. They are also here. Next one, please. Now, how do we plan to go ahead with it? The smart classroom mission is one. Network of technologically equipped smart classrooms to be set up in identified schools and madrasas. Capacity building programs for the school teachers, madrasa teachers, on interactive technology to be carried out. This is very important for us. We are taking it full speed. Relevant material to be provided to the students and teachers, we are doing. Then a network of Talimi Marakis, I already discussed the common study centers. Then the skilled and trained teachers for the same will be provided by AEEDU. We are already doing it also in some of the common study centers. Proper infrastructure has to be created, like sitting space, some laptops, teachers, qualified teachers, things like that. And Talimi Jamaat will be formed in concentrated areas. This too has been a point of the 10-point program of Professor Furqan Qamar. This Talimi Jamaat will be sort of community advisor to the community at large. And not only a particular minority community, to the underprivileged people or the gifted people at large. So something like coaxing them to come to join the mainstream. Then capacity building of teachers, capacity of school and madrasa teachers to be adequately enhanced. We are giving a lot of importance on this. We feel that this is a vital part. Adoption of online, offline, hybrid training models. We are having some collaborations with Falcon Group, Shaheen Group from Bangalore and other groups also. Then partner with diverse stakeholders, including schools, colleges, and similar institutions to fulfill AEEDU's objectives. Next, please. Then these are some of the research activities. Data bank of enrollments and dropouts is already almost complete. We have a professor sitting here who is working with us. He is a retired professor from JNU. And he has almost completed it, Professor Butola. Then guided support, including conceptual and demographic roadmap, is being shared with research scholars. We are trying to give it a demographic perspective so that in the days to come, somebody would like to go through it. It will almost be like an authentic study paper. Then 2 annual educational conferences have been planned in 2024 and 2025. 4 seminars, workshops will be organized in 2024, 2025. 2 annual stakeholders conferences to be held in 2025. This is the roadmap. Then in order to fulfill its objectives and leverage a robust organization structure at AEEDU office, there are certain modalities which we are working on, including a structured procedure. We will be completing 2 years on 7th June. So as new as that. But we are trying to put a structure to the whole thing. And I only hope and pray that we carry it forward with your blessings. And this is very important, sir, because what is the impact which we have visualized? This is important. The impact is something like on the women to create an awareness towards education, to create an awareness towards gaining livelihood, and not only for a formal education, but a skilled labor also, a skilled training also. So that's what we are doing, sir. Livelihood creation, providing vocational guidance to the targeted underprivileged students. This shall facilitate the realization of their professional ambitions, including creating self-help groups, and especially among women in the minority sectors, and sharing entrepreneurship modules for creating self-generated schemes of livelihood. Then this is very important that we have to arrest the dropouts. Unless and until we take it literally on the streets and tell them, look here, you have to go to the schools. You have to go to the madrasas. Our mission will not be complete. So this Talimi Jamaat shall play a decisive role in achieving the goal of 100% enrollment and 0 dropouts from amongst the underprivileged students. Then capacity building of teachers. We have already discussed, sir. All the thing is there. Assimilation of best practices in vocational guidance. We feel that there are certain areas like West Bengal, Odisha, Jharkhand, Bihar, where the targeted students have to be accessed in a very positive manner. We have to take it literally to their houses and to make them aware of it. So we are trying to take the best practices there, whatever. And then the research initiatives are there, because unless we back it up with suitable research, tomorrow in posterity we will have nothing to talk about. So we are banking on a research module also, which is just compatible to the educational endeavors. Next. That's it, sir. Thank you, sir. आप दे दें सर. Thanks. ठीक है. Please join us for lunch. Please come for lunch. Thank you all.